Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Addictive Brain. My name is Chinmaya, and today we have Sean Lim with us from the Skeptical Chemist, joining us for our interview with Scientist series. A few words about Sean. Sean received his BSc in Chemistry in 2016 from the University of Melbourne in 2016, and his MSc in Chemistry in 2020 from the National University of Singapore. After that, he spent 2 years working in the pharmaceutical industry. As a nerdy kid who loved burying his nose in a good book for hours on end, it was only natural that this translated into a passion for writing later in his life. Sean has written or edited over 100 articles for the Skeptical Chemist, a not-for-profit science publishing and communication website. Welcome, Sean.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's night for me, so I had a long day at work. But I'm happy to be here. Happy to be talking to you, Chinmaya, about what will we be talking about today? Let's tell everyone because I have also forgotten.
So we will be talking about your career move into industry. We will be talking about your transition, how you transition from academics to industry, and any tips for our viewers on how to make this transition possible and the life outside of academics. So maybe you can tell us more about it. And lastly, we would love to hear about the Skeptical Chemist.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah. So to start off with, I guess when I was in undergrad, having my first taste of research, right, in my sort of my final year, doing my honors project at the University of Melbourne. That was in 2016. So that was that was my research year, sort of. And I mean, I loved it. I loved being in a lab. My teammates, my lab mates, they were great. My supervisor, my professor, they were all really supportive. So it was, I almost thought that it was just, natural for me to do a PhD after that 1 year of research. Like it was, I didn't even think about going to industry and seeing what's there in the workforce. So I was even offered sort of unofficially offered a PhD position by my professor, if I wanted to continue with him. So I think he sort of expected me to continue as well.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a shock to him when I said that I was going to look for work in industry. So this happened because I talked to one of my friends who was a postdoc at the time in another lab. But we sort of had some collaborations between the labs.
Okay.
And he told me that instead of because PhD is in many countries it's at least a 4-year program.
Yes.
And it's a big commitment. And I guess I guess he had some experience with people who are maybe not ready to make the commitment, and because of that, like the PhD became sort of like a struggle.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's like a widespread problem, but I could see I could see where he was coming from, because you don't know, you can't really tell like how big of a commitment it is. Just having 1 year of research experience as I did, like how much work and so just the commitment to a 4-year program. So he told me to why don't you go and look for work, maybe work in the workforce for a year or two, and then decide if I really wanted to do a PhD, because I guess it's I had the position waiting for me in the lab anyway. I think even if I went out to work for a year or two, they would still be happy to take me back. So like I was very fortunate to have that open to me, I guess, if I wanted to. Yeah, so the postdoc, who was my friend, just told me to take a year or two off, go and work, and if nothing else, if after those years I wanted to come back to do a PhD, it would also give me some work experience for the future, as well as some income, which is which is obviously good.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I did. I looked around. It actually took me a few months, 3 months, to find a position at a pharmaceutical company in Singapore. So I relocated back to Singapore.
Where did you do
Um,
your master's from?
in Singapore, but that's after. So
Oh,
I did. Yeah, so that's why there's like a gap between my
yes.
my bachelor's and my master's. So I worked for 2 years,
Okay.
just over 2 years. Yeah. So at the time I was doing my master's part-time.
Okay.
Yeah, because my supervisor at work, he supported me in saying like, if I did my master's part-time, he would be able to let me leave earlier on certain days, leave work earlier to attend my classes and all that. Yeah,
Yes.
but so I did that for one semester, but then I had to do my research in my master's, and it was, the workload was just too much for me. So I left my job. It was quite a difficult decision to make. I left my job and I dedicated 1 year to finish my master's, and that was before COVID and all, right? So it was like, all right, I'll just finish my master's and I'll just find a job.
Yeah.
How hard can it be?
So where
Yeah.
do you
So
currently work?
so after the 1 year, so I finished my master's I officially graduated in July.
Yes.
So 2 months, yes, 2 months back.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I guess I was fortunate to be offered a role in a life science consultancy company, so
Okay.
providing services to life science companies. Um, yeah, so I've been working for about a month in that area.
Yes.
So I'm currently working on a project to do installation and validation of lab equipment.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's a lot of lab equipment. So this
Yes.
project is will last from from last month, so August
Yeah.
to last till June 2021. So it's quite a big project. It's about
Okay.
9 or 10 months. Yeah. So I mean I'm just starting.
Okay.
So yeah. Um, yeah.
So
So installing chromatography equipment, which
okay.
is sort of my area of expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back when I was working in the pharmaceutical industry, I did a lot of chromatography. So I guess that's why they looked at that favorably.
Okay. So
Um,
how's this work environment different from academics?
uh, wow. Okay. For one, I guess industry pays a lot better than in than in academia,
Yes.
from what I can gather, right? I think as a general rule, I think it's also a better work-life balance in industry.
Okay.
Yeah, like I know in research it's quite common to go in on weekends in a lot
Yes.
of labs.
Yes.
Um, like you don't want your cells to die or
Yes.
things like that, right? And also some supervisors or some groups, like it's like sort of like the mentality that like to sort of almost expect the researchers to come in, to have long hours in the lab.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I guess it's not all labs, but quite a few
Few of them.
they do that for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And in industry, I, I I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you have. I guess you have benefits. Depending on the company, you also
Okay.
have. You're also entitled to certain benefits. Um, the work itself is, I guess, it's more structured
Okay.
in industry. I'm
Yeah.
not too sure because I've never had a research role in industry.
Okay.
All right, so it's more of uh, so what I did was what I've done so far in my career is a lot of sort of um, method verification, method review.
Yeah.
So you like sort of investigating the methods that are currently being used as a standard in performing certain experiments or whatever.
Yeah.
And I also did some project work, so like lab improvement.
Okay.
Um, so five S, continuous improvement,
Okay.
making processes more efficient, faster,
I
yeah,
see.
those kind of things. So yeah, it's not research,
Okay.
but yeah, so I guess it's not really comparable in that, yeah, but from what I can gather, even research in industry is also more sort of goal driven,
Okay.
right? As opposed to just like discovering something new. It's more applied, more focused. Everyone's working towards the same. So, for example, in drug development,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everyone's working towards making modifications that achieve the certain goal,
Yes.
and uh, yeah. So that's
That's
sort
it.
of what I can tell you is the main difference between industry and academia. But
Sounds
yeah,
really interesting.
yeah, it is. It is.
So, what does scientific writing entail? You do a lot of scientific writing. I see a lot of posts from the Skeptical Chemist. So, and
Oh
also
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
informative posts. So, what does it
Thank
entail?
you. Scientific writing is just taking a concept or a scientific concept or theory and just making it, you know, easy to understand, so that anyone, who might not necessarily be a scientist or even have a science background,
Yes.
will be able to understand that concept and wrap their head around it.
Yeah.
Um, which can be a challenge, especially if you're you've been exposed to sort of academia for a few years,
Yes.
because you're so used to using like jargon and terms that sort of
Yeah.
expected that you use in writing journal papers, in writing reports.
Yeah.
um, yeah, even the way you present as well, it's a lot different than how you present it to speaking to maybe just your friend,
Yeah.
or um, yeah. So I guess that's how I picture it in my head. I'm just
Okay.
trying to explain this to, like, my mom or my dad or my
Yeah.
or my grandmother.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's not really like simplifying the concept, but
Okay.
just making it clear in simple terms.
Okay.
Yeah,
To
yeah,
layman.
without the jargon. Yeah, so science writing. I mean, so certain tips that I can give you
Yes.
if you're keen on science writing.
Yes.
Uh, Firstly, just don't use too much jargon.
Okay.
Uh, I, so from what I have, from my experience, if you have to use jargon,
Yes.
you have to explain exactly what it is,
Yes.
before you go on. So you can't assume that someone will know what something means. So I
Okay.
mean, even something like DNA, right? You have to explain like what is DNA, because you can't expect someone to know that the DNA is your genetic code, and genes code for proteins, and proteins do this and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just putting yourself in the shoes of someone who might not have a science background
Yeah.
is a really important part of science writing.
Okay.
Secondly, I guess don't use long sentences and unnecessary words. So
Okay.
keep things short and sweet, right? So if you need, I mean, you shouldn't use like 200 words to explain a concept that will take maybe 50, right? That's I guess in not even in academia, but even in school, right? Like in
Yes.
high school when we're taught to write a report
Mhm.
or write essays,
Yes.
we're told to use like a lot of like connecting words and words that make us sound
Yeah.
like sophisticated, like big words that like add to the word count. But that all of that like works against you in science writing, because with every word that you use
Yes.
that doesn't add value to the reader
Yeah.
is bringing down their attention span so that they don't get to the good part of your writing. So keep those um, buzzwords and stuff like out of your writing.
Okay.
Keep it as simple as you can.
Yeah.
um, yeah. Do I have any more tips? General tips.
General tips. Or maybe we can come back to that in a bit and tell us about the
Sure.
skeptical chemist.
Sorry.
Tell us about the skeptical chemist.
All right. Okay. So the Skeptical Chemist is a website for science communication.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're not a big website. We don't get like a huge amount of traffic and ad revenue, but we do try to give sort of first time or people who want to try out aspiring science writers a platform to showcase their work.
Okay.
Yeah. So through our Write For Us program.
Yep.
So I guess that's the main thing on the website is that we invite people, both scientists and non-scientists,
Yes.
to come on our website, pitch us an idea. It can be either your research or just something interesting that you think will benefit our readers,
Yeah.
and will help you to sort of trim it down, or
Okay.
will help you to edit
Yeah.
your work, and from drafting all the way to publication, so
Yep.
that it's suitable for a general audience.
Okay.
And yeah, so when it's published, we'll post on our social media,
Okay.
showcase your work, and we'll also pay you a small amount when you're done. Yeah, so that's I guess that's the key feature of the Skeptical
Feature of the
Chemist.
skeptical chemist.
Yeah. It's, I mean, it's we don't pay a lot,
Yeah.
certainly not something that you can live off of, but it's it's a small amount of
Yes.
compensation for your time. Uh, yeah, so that's the Skeptical Chemist. Apart
Okay.
from that, we also have some writers who write articles on. We have a few different categories, but they're mostly focused around chemistry,
Okay.
the pharmaceutical industry, so drugs, um, I guess, um, drug drug discovery techniques or new
Okay.
techniques. Um, what else do we talk about? Oh, pseudoscience. We have a lot of sort of like debunking certain myths and stuff. Uh, we also have a lot of articles about sort of like the biology side of things, genetics, evolution,
Okay.
uh, and we even have a contributed post by the Addictive Brain
Yes.
on quantitative PCR.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
We wrote
So
it like a year ago.
we're open to well-written guides and tutorials by people who have had a lot of experience doing those using those techniques.
Yes. I have been out
So
of touch with PCR, so I will have to read my own guide to remember things.
yeah, yeah.
It has been 4 years I did my qPCR. Not 4 years, 2 years.
oh, okay. It's not something that you use every day.
No, not currently, but
Okay.
we are planning to use it in our experiments. So.
Right, right, right. Okay.
So tell us about the pins that you develop at the Skeptical Chemist.
Sorry?
The pins, the dinosaur
Oh, the
pin.
pins, dinosaur pins, right. Yeah, so the artwork was so we had a graphic designer that did all of our artwork on the Skeptical Chemist,
Okay.
and she also gave us permission to use it as a to make like merchandise out of it. So
Okay.
we have a few different pins available. I don't have any of them near me at the moment, but
Okay.
if you go to our website, theskepticalchemist.com
Yes.
/store, or you can just go on there and there'll be a link to the website.
Yeah.
You can see we have some pins and stickers available, and the proceeds for all the sales go to paying our writers.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how we fund
Yes.
our program
Okay.
at the Skeptical Chemist.
I have
Yeah.
one of those pens.
Oh, you do? Yes, yes,
Yes.
you do.
I have one of those pens, and I must say that is really sweet and nice. It
Thank
looks
you.
really cute.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the artwork was done really well, so we had to also manufacture it to to meet the standards of the artwork.
Yes. So my last question to you is, so if our audience wants to move out of academics, what are the best tips that you can, or what are the top tips that you want to give them to make this?
Okay, so let's say if you're if you're an undergrad and you're
Yeah.
stuck on the fence between academia and industry, I would say it might be controversial, but take a couple of years off
Yeah.
and see what it's like in industry. Uh, and after 1 or 2 years of working, if you still have that passion and your motivation for doing research, which I didn't, then just go for it, because we go back to doing uh, 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 your
PhD.
graduate research, yeah, doing your PhD, yeah, because um, if you can work for like a couple of years and see what it's like, and be paid
Yes.
as much as you will be paid in industry,
Yes.
and you still have that passion for research, then it shows that you're more likely have the motivation to complete a 4-year graduate program.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's what I feel, at least.
Yeah. Well, in the US side, it's 6 to 7 years of
Oh my
graduate
goodness.
program.
Oh, because it's dependent on your professor, right?
I guess so. I haven't done my PhD from the US, but this is what I've been hearing and seeing.
I if you want to talk about job searching, I might have some extra tips on
Yeah,
job
of
search.
course. Job search tips would be a great addition.
Yeah, I'm not too. I don't know. I've only had 2 jobs, so I'm not like the best
Well,
this candidate
yeah, but
for
still,
this. But
anything is precious at this point.
yeah, I mean the industry has been hit pretty hard, um, but I would say that the tech and healthcare industries,
Yeah,
or certain healthcare industries at least, they are doing pretty well during the pandemic.
yeah,
So if you're looking at like a pharmaceutical or medical device companies, there will still be openings available
okay,
during this time, because there's still, from what I can tell, this the supply chain and stuff, they're not too affected
yes,
um, by COVID.
yeah,
Yeah, so tech and healthcare are probably the 2 areas that are doing well.
okay,
Other sectors not so well, I
okay,
guess. Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess you should always try different ways to network.
Okay.
if you're looking for a job. LinkedIn is good. I haven't spent that much time on LinkedIn, but from what I can tell
Yeah.
and from what I hear,
Yes.
LinkedIn is a pretty good place to reach out to professionals, because there's that statistic of like 80% of positions aren't even listed on job portals and websites. So most of them are like internal hires, or they have the position open that they just haven't got around to
Yes.
putting up on those websites. Yeah, so I would say just reach out if you see if you find a company that you like what they do. Just reach out. LinkedIn obviously is the number one place to
Okay.
find
Oh,
individuals. Twitter, maybe. Instagram.
maybe. Maybe not.
Yeah, because I mean LinkedIn is a more professional
Yes.
environment. Yeah, so just reach out to them.
Yep.
Especially for smaller companies, they um, usually you'll be able to get to someone like in management level quite easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just make sure your resume isn't that long. I
Okay.
guess just focus on key points. What I've seen so far is that some people like to put in, so for example, like they did they had a position at this X and X at YY company, and
Yes.
then they list out like every single thing that they did there.
Yeah.
But I would say don't do that. Just from your role or your position, most recruiters or hiring managers, they will know what that job, what is like the job description of that role,
Okay.
especially if it's related. So what I would do is I will highlight certain achievements
Okay.
that you've sort of achievements or highlights of your time with
Okay.
that company. So I guess that works with like your experience in research as well, either for your PhD or your graduate research, undergraduate research even.
Yes.
Like just don't just write like don't just list out every single thing you did, but write like highlight certain points. For example, if you're involved in a project that had a positive impact on the company,
Yes.
you write that down, because that's what will catch the eye of the recruiter or the hiring manager.
Okay.
And keep it short, I guess, as well. It's the same thing as in science writing, right? You want to keep your
Yes.
resume short so the person reading it doesn't lose focus and lose their attention,
Okay.
because yeah, keep it short. I would say 1 or 2 pages.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 page is good, but I guess if you have a lot of publications, you might want to put
Okay.
them all on the second page. Uh, yeah, just keep it short.
Short and short and
Cover
sweet.
letters, cover letters, from what I can tell,
Yeah.
they don't really work.
Okay.
Because especially for bigger companies that like have all those job application portals, they're
Yes.
all the resumes are screened by robots, right? Like they use AI to screen the resumes, so there's a high chance that your cover letter isn't even read to begin with. But I guess if you know the person, if you know someone in a company directly, it's worth writing a cover letter so that
Okay.
they'll be able to recognize your resume when you do apply.
Yes.
um, yeah, but many resumes don't even get opened from those job portals, let
Okay.
alone cover letters.
Yes.
And as a job seeker, especially if you're unemployed,
Yeah.
time is your most valuable resource. So you
Yes.
don't want to waste time crafting like a beautiful cover letter that no one reads. You might as well spend the time networking or applying to more jobs even. um, yeah, so if you're looking for a job during this period, good luck in your job search. It's a tough time to be looking for a
Yes.
job, but there are positions out there for sure. Companies are still hiring.
Yes.
um, it's not as bad as maybe the news makes it out to be sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
so because of time constraints, we have to stop here, but
Bad.
we would like to thank you. No problem. It was really informative, the tips,
I
the
hope so. I hope
questions.
so.
But we would like to thank you for your time today and for coming at 9 p.m., coming back from work and talking to us.
Oh, no worries. Thank you.
Pleasure.
I work from home now anyway, so this is,
Okay.
I basically live in this room.
But if our audience wants to check out the Skeptical Chemist, we will share the link on our YouTube so that you
Right
can
down below.
down below. Just go in the comment section and you'll find it.
You always see those YouTube videos saying like, check out the link down below.
Yes.
Very
Thank
good.
you very
Very
much,
good.
Sean, for talking to
Thank
us.
you. Thank you, Shinmaya. Thank you. It was, I had a great
It was a
time.
pleasure
Thank you.
talking to you.
It was a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.